Hey guys, so you know how in Path of Exile cast on grid builds are pretty cool and you can do some interesting things with that? Well, you can sort of do a similar thing in Diablo 4 with the Sorcerer. Sorcerer in general has these kind of special enchantments for each skill which work in a sort of like a passive way as an additional proc or trigger. So in this video I want to talk about my lighting Sorc cast on grid. I don't have all the answers. There are still things that I don't understand how exactly it functions and it's difficult to test. So I'm gonna try my best to explain what I know and how I think it works. Here are the main things. You want to stack lucky, you want to stack crit, and you want to stack attack speed. Because with this build I'm actually just using default attack, the basic skill. The basic skill procs most of the other things. I am using utility things like teleport, the ice armor, the frost nova to freeze enemies, and then of course my ultimate. The lighting ultimate is very powerful because it's 100% chance when you attack or cast anything else to cast an additional random shock skill. It is from core skills, conjuration or mastery shock skills. So basically charge bolt, chain lighting, lighting spear and ball lighting. Those things will randomly proc whenever you attack while you have unstable currents. But there is a legendary aspect which allows this unstable currents to passively proc with your other attacks. It is much lower chance. It's like on an amulet I have 14% chance to trigger a free cast from it. So it's pretty low. So I'm trying to stack a bunch of attack speed. I think if I'm not mistaken, I'm able to reach over 100% attack speed, but that is only after killing an enemy with a crit to gain extra 50% attack speed for 3 seconds. So I tried it and I think it's not really very efficient because once you encounter bigger targets and bosses, you lose that 50% attack speed and it's not useful. The way this is triggering when I use a basic skill, whenever I stun, I proc charge bolts. Because charge bolts enchantment, when you stun an enemy, there's a 48% chance to release free charge bolts from them. So this is the enchantment, and this is with the Paragon board, 20% increased enchantment power. And charge bolts for me is just level 1, just with extra modifiers. Then whenever I lucky crit, there's a chance that I will create a static ball lighting. And that works with any skill, even with the skills that were procced with something else. Every time I attack, there's a chance that I will cast another shock skill randomly. Even those that I don't have allocated points into. So I could actually also proc Lightning Spear, which then has a modifier when it crits it stuns, which then procs another charge bolts. And those charge bolts, if we're lucky, we can also proc static ball lighting. That static ball lighting can also proc kind of itself. I guess I'm not 100% sure. But the ball lighting has a very low lucky. And increasing lucky chance is multiplicative. It's not additive. It doesn't add to the base lucky. So the ball lighting has, I believe, 5% base lucky hit chance. So if you get 100% increased lucky hit chance, it's only gonna raise it to 10%. So some skills just hit frequently, hit fast, and that's why we have low chance to lucky hit. So using Arc Lash every 10 times Arc Lash swipes, it's very melee distance, it's not a range, so that's one bad thing, but it does hit multiple times. Every 10 times it swipes, it will stun all enemies hit for 2 seconds. When that happens, the charge bolt procs, then there's a passive chance to proc another shock skill. Then any of the skills, lucky critting also creates static ball lighting. It's really cool, but it's also low chance, and I have been farming one modifier for 4 days until I finally got it. The unstable currents passive proc chance. Now there are other legendary modifiers that are needed, and you probably don't want to use uniques because there are so many legendary modifiers that you want. So first of all, you want the passive way to proc unstable current shock skills. Then you also want another unstable currents legendary modifier which has a chance to proc another skill. Then, and I think this actually works. It says core and mastery skills, which is basically charge bolt, chain lighting and ball lighting skills cast at or above 100 mana gain, in this case 30% increased critical strike chance. I believe this works for this modifier. This works when you passively proc those ball lighting and the core skills, because it doesn't say when you cast. It just says skills cast. So this works with procs. What doesn't work with procs is things like Frozen Orb. And I tried and I was very disappointed because the enchantment for Frozen Orb says whenever you cast a non-basic skill, you have chance to launch a Frozen Orb. It specifically says when you cast a skill, which just like in Path of Exile, I guess it doesn't work with procs. So I thought that maybe my other procs could proc this and it would be OP, but of course it's not OP. By the way, many skills for sorcerers, especially lighting skills, are so weak. The damage is just so weak. Many things were much stronger and much more fun in the beta before the actual launch, and then they nerfed it right before the launch. And now I think we need to buff a lot of things because there are so many cool builds for sorcerer, but like 90% of them just cannot do enough damage. Back onto legendaries. So I believe this does work. You just straight up get 30% extra crit chance for charge bolt, chain lighting, and ball lighting. And but besides, you do need a high crit chance because the higher crit chance, actually, you pretty much just need crit chance, well, for the damage and also to proc another static ball lighting and a couple other things. Then I'm also, the way I'm actually stacking more attack speed is the basic skills gain 30% attack speed legendary aspect, and I am mainly using basic skill, the arc lash. Then critical strikes with core skills increase your attack speed. This works and you can sometimes see the buff appear near my health bar. Whenever I proc a core skill with other things, whenever it crits, it also gives me more attack speed. So for my basic skill. And ball lighting, another cool synergy. A modifier for this, ball lighting's damage rate is increased by 200% of your attack speed. But this is just for the global attack speed bonus. It doesn't work with the basic skill gain attack speed. However, this would still work. Like I'm getting 22% increased attack speed whenever a core skill crits. And then this thing. This is Essos Ferocity. I'm first gonna show you the passive. This is from the key passive. This absolutely gives nothing. However, the important thing is whenever you kill enemy with critical, you gain those modifiers that give you nothing. However, the legendary modifier grants you up to 50% attack speed when you gain those modifiers. So this works and it is noticeable, but actually it's not that amazing. The increase to attack speed is multiplying that base attack speed. That's why you also want to go with a one-handed weapon and a focus, because a staff is slower. It's only 1 attacks per second. So I tried this modifier for the 50% extra attack speed, and it works well whenever you are killing stuff. 3 seconds after you are unable to kill anything, you lose this modifier and it feels bad. So in the end, I think I'm gonna be replacing this and getting back my overflowing energy key passive. This overflowing energy key passive just helps reset cooldowns for like utility things, for like teleport and the ice armor and the lightning spear. But by the way, for the ball lighting to even proc from lucky crits, you need the enchantment. And the ball lighting, I think, is the main damage dealer. But enemies have to be pretty much stationary on top of ball lighting, which synergizes pretty well with this build because you can stun, you can freeze enemies, and you can just kind of face tank many enemies. Now you can also get attack speed, like global attack speed on a helmet. You can also get it on a focus, and you can get on gloves, but I don't have it on gloves yet. I'm gonna go over this, but I won't include any like link to this build because I haven't really decided how to do this. But Arc Lash, getting this thing because it helps you reset cooldowns of other skills. Then 1 point in each chain lighting and charge bolts. Actually, right now I'm not really relying on crackling energy, so I'm not taking this, but later on I will be taking this probably. For now I'm just taking this for an extra more damage. This one to make enemies a bit do less damage to me because I need extra tankiness. Teleport is really nice. Ice armor just level 1 for now. I haven't really decided, but level 1 just to activate barrier because there are some modifiers while you have barrier. The Frost Nova, there's also Frost Nova enchantment, so you can kind of make your lightning spear passively proc Frost Nova, but it doesn't really happen often enough, and if enemies are frozen, the Frost Nova does not do damage, it just freezes enemies that are able to be frozen, and against bosses that's not really doing much. But however, I am also taking Frost Nova because it guarantees vulnerable for 4 seconds, or 6 against bosses. Now you could also take this thing, but this will only affect these 2 skills. you would essentially gain up to 9% more damage whenever you cast above 50 mana, which is always because I'm not using mana. This one is also important. A lucky crit has a chance to reset cooldown of one of the defensive skills, so either teleport or ice armor for now. And because this build is stacking lucky and crit, this does happen pretty often. Glass cannon, it is a more damage multiplier, so it's a must, but it's also like double-edged sword. You are also taking more damage. Then you can get lucky chance here, but I'm not actually sure if it's really worth taking that. Maybe even just 2 points would be enough. Then I'm taking that because every time I use a cooldown skill, I gain a barrier, and I am using a lot of cooldown skills. The teleport is a cooldown, the lightning speed is a cooldown, the frost nova is a cooldown, the unstable currents is a cooldown, and the ice armor is a cooldown skill. So I'm able to regenerate my barrier very often. Next, this is mainly for the lightning spear. And maybe let's first look at the lightning spear. This is a conjuration skill, so it lasts for 6 seconds. You can extend that to 7.2 seconds with the Paragon board. So the lightning spear, essentially, when it crits, it stuns enemies for 2 seconds. And remember, when it stuns, it also procs the charge bolts. And then there's also this thing, whenever you stun an enemy, it deals an extra damage, which is 45% of your damage, so that's quite a big amount. There's also another thing that you can do with the charge bolt. With this thing, whenever you hit the same enemy with 3 charge bolts from one cast, I believe, then it creates a lightning nova, and lightning nova is also doing some damage. So the conjuration mastery, it gives 3% more damage for each active conjuration. During unstable currents, you're gonna summon a bunch of lightning spears, like 5 at minimum, and that means if you summon 5 of them, you're gonna get 15% more damage. Then ball lightning, try to get as high level as possible. You can actually use this. If you take this, like every 50 times the ball lightning hits, it will also stun enemies, and when it stuns, it will also proc another charge bolt. But I'm taking this because crackling energy, like in general, I was switching between this and this and this and seeing which works better, and I will eventually switch back to overflowing energy until you start proccing chain lighting, and until you get this modifier. It probably is better to have this because static ball lighting will hit enemies very often, 4 times in a row, and create a crackling energy for you to pick up, which then is going to be needed for this to reduce cooldowns for everything else. Then for this one is just lucky crit with shock skills have also chance to create crackling energy, so you don't necessarily need if you have very high lucky hit and crit chance, so you can just create this passively. Initially you're probably gonna want while leveling to level this up, but once you get enough crit chance, you won't need this. This essentially is whenever you don't crit, you gain crit until you crit, and this keeps resetting, so you can keep getting up to 100% crit chance if you somehow fail to crit. And then this one is for tankiness, and then this one is for stun. There we go, another synergy with lucky. Shock skills have 9% chance on lucky to stun, and when you stun, remember, you proc charge bolts. So ideally you would probably want to raise level of charge bolts and then figure out what do you proc the most and most frequently. Remember, against bosses you don't proc stun, you only proc stun when you stagger an enemy, the boss, because the boss cannot normally be like frozen or chilled, only when you stagger it. So I don't want to rely too much on stuns because against bosses that's not very useful. Now the Paragon board, I'm just gonna show you this if you want to like screenshot or something like that. Initially I went just through here, I picked up crowd control glyph. This is giving up to 20% more damage to stunned or frozen enemies. Again, against bosses, it's only gonna happen when we get staggered. But otherwise for clear speed it works really well. Then from the second board I picked the enchantments are 20% stronger one. And then I'm trying to navigate here, picking up some mitigation, some utility, and then just damage. Going for the glyph now, but unlock the fat board. From the fat board I'm gonna be taking the crowd impairment duration reduction things. Then there's more attack speed, and then I think I'll just focus on the remaining boards. I will not be adding a fourth board. For this build there are some other build ideas that I want to test, but I hope that we're gonna buff Sorc, because like you could in theory do like a pure lightning spear build. There's a chance to proc another lightning spear when you cast it, and that can proc other things, and then you can maybe combine with the ice blades, and then the ice blades can like passively. By the way, the ice blades for every 33 seconds in cooldowns you spend. This is snapshotted, so you can actually, whenever you use a skill, it calculates that duration, and then you can actually reduce cooldowns on those skills and then just recycle them, like reuse them more often. So you could do that, it's just the damage is really bad. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what other cool build ideas you have for the Sorc. Just not cold. I don't want to do cold. Everyone are doing cold. I will probably also do incinerate at some point, but for now I want to experiment more with lighting. It does take quite a bit of time to farm, get the better item upgrades, and there's not much room in the stash to keep the possibly good items, so it's difficult to manage everything and farm for everything and for different builds and the gold, so it takes quite a lot of time. So, by the way, if you haven't noticed, I'm also streaming on YouTube in the morning and then later switching back to Twitch because I want to bring more people from YouTube to Twitch because I'm still gonna be streaming main on Twitch, and I'm doing this only for 1 week. So I think that's gonna be it for today. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.